believe we probably couldn't afford to just keep a property.
Robyn's tears were loud, but her silence during Meri's loneliness was louder. In the moving out episode, Meri quietly delivered one of her most powerful lines to date.
I know that Robyn is brokenhearted about this, and that's something she's going to have to process through herself.
I'm sure Robyn is brokenhearted, but that's something she has to process through herself. It was a significant moment, not just because of what she said, but because of what she didn't do.
But I have a good life.
For once, she didn't soften her words. She didn't comfort anyone else, and she didn't backpedal to manage someone else's emotions. She simply stood her ground. Throughout the years, Meri has often been the one to step back, adjust her tone, or offer reassurance when Cody or Robyn were upset. But in this moment, she chose herself.
I don't mean to make you blue. I'm not trying to do that. Just
it's fine.
I love you, and
it's fine.
Robyn's attempts to pull Meri into her emotional spiral fell flat. There was no shared mourning here. Meri appeared detached, resolute, and ready to move forward.
Dude, this is about me today.
Yeah, whatever.
You get her all the time.
Yeah, whatever.
Relax.
Meanwhile, Cody's reaction followed a familiar pattern, demanding emotional support despite having withheld his own for years. His expectation that Meri would comfort him as she walked away from a one-sided relationship was striking.
They're looking for somebody to blame. I guess it's me.
I'm not blaming. Relax.
The emotional imbalance in these interactions speaks volumes about how much was expected from Meri and how little she received in return.
Then you finally made that decision to separate, and it was almost like a realization.
This episode also highlighted the long-standing imbalance in the family dynamic. As Meri prepared to leave, it became clear that her departure marked the symbolic end of the original structure. The emotional labor she had provided for years was no longer available, and the absence of that support system was felt immediately, especially by those who had relied heavily on her presence while giving very little back.
I'm at peace with where I am.
Post-episode, Meri mentioned in an interview that she was moving on and not allowing herself to be guilted into staying. She acknowledged that she's starting to see things more clearly and is still trying to determine whether her friendship with Robyn was genuine or rooted in manipulation. There are also lingering questions about how Robyn managed her children's relationship with Meri. Once affectionate and open, that connection has reportedly faded since Meri left. Despite her efforts to stay in touch, the distance suggests something deeper may have changed. During the COVID period, Robyn's refusal to allow Meri into her household while Meri lived alone highlighted a painful lack of empathy. It's particularly stark considering that Meri had given up her legal marriage to Cody to enable Robyn's. As for the broader family dynamic, the departures of Meri, Janelle, and Christine underscore a significant shift. Where once Cody was the center of the family, that dynamic has collapsed. His estrangement from many of his children reflects this change.
There's adult children at Robyn's house.
Rather than acknowledging his role, he attributes the distance to others' feelings about Robyn, ignoring his own failure to maintain those relationships. Ultimately, the episode captures the unraveling of relationships long overdue for resolution.
Meri's departure isn't just physical, it represents emotional freedom. It shows that holding space for others without reciprocity has a limit. And for some, that limit was finally reached. Janelle's the fan favorite, but here's how she quietly manipulated the entire family dynamic. During a rewatch, one moment stood out that hadn't registered before.
What I want to know is, she's on campus, does she need a car?
Janelle suggesting that Aspen should stay home and commute to college so Leon could attend the more expensive school. Notably, she never made the same suggestion for Logan. Aspen, apparently, was the more expendable option. To Cody's credit, something that doesn't happen often, he immediately rejected the idea, stating he wouldn't sacrifice one child's experience for another. Christine didn't even need to step in. He handled it directly.
And we have a couple of girls. We have Mariah and Aspen actually graduating this year. Mariah is going to be going to Utah.
The entire college funding process was needlessly complicated. A more reasonable approach would have been to allocate a fixed amount to each child from the family budget, adjusted for cost of living, and require the parents to handle anything beyond that. Yet Meri reportedly received no financial support for Leon, which was clearly unfair. Janelle, despite often being portrayed as practical and balanced, has had her questionable moments.
Then I looked at, this is my best friend.
Nathan?
And I looked at him.
For instance, she suggested spending time with Cody's friend Ken, who once openly stated Cody should divorce 3 of his wives, fully aware of how that would affect Christine.
So Meri makes these comments, and
The emotional manipulation and gaslighting Christine endured from both Cody and the other wives were deeply troubling. Every adult in this family has, at some point, exhibited selfish, manipulative, or neglectful behavior toward the children. While some of that may stem from the dynamics of a polygamous household, where attention and resources are limited, it doesn't excuse the consistent failures. Janelle, in particular, held significant sway over Cody for years. Her calm, intellectual demeanor often masked the extent of her influence.
Concern about Meri having a house on the pond lot.
For example, during the Coyote Pass ordeal, she didn't want Meri near the pond, so she spoke to Cody, who then led Meri to believe she didn't really want the lot.
I know that I need a place for greenhouses. I really need lots.
Later, Janelle pushed for more land for greenhouses, affecting Christine's plans as well. Despite having been known as the family's financial strategist, she later claimed ignorance on monetary matters, an inconsistency that undermines her credibility.
Do you understand that you lie? That's the reason I call you the Teflon Queen.
Cody once referred to Janelle as the Teflon Queen, and there's some truth in that. While Meri continues to be criticized for her past, Janelle's missteps are often overlooked.
At the time that Janelle married Cody, Cody and I had been married for nearly 3 years, and
Early on, she entered into a relationship with her former sister-in-law's husband, an act considered taboo in their culture. The former sister-in-law even had to be persuaded not to get married on Meri's birthday, opting for Cody's birthday instead. Meanwhile, Janelle frequently chose to go out rather than return home, despite others caring for her children or complaints that the children were going hungry. She also left shared spaces messy, even after someone else had made her dinner. Her frustration only seemed to surface once her own children were no longer prioritized. That shift in treatment clearly struck a nerve. Post-divorce, she appears more relaxed and arguably more sincere, but the past behaviors remain difficult to overlook. Why did a 1-year-old get a luxury watch buried underground while the other kids got nothing?
What did you just do?
98 degrees right now.
All right.
As the Brown family prepares to move to Flagstaff, they gather to dig up a time capsule they buried when they first moved into their Las Vegas homes. The capsule, stored in what appears to be a basic cooler, has not weathered time well. Many of the items inside are wet and damaged due to poor sealing and possibly being buried under a sprinkler.
Saul was only a year old when we buried the time capsule.
Yeah, I saw.
During the unboxing, Solomon, who was only 1 year old when the capsule was buried, approaches a small yellow box. Christine is heard saying, "Solomon wants to open this box. They said it's fine," as he slowly opens it. Robyn, filming from nearby, encourages him, "Keep taking it apart. Mom and Dad put that in there for you." Christine looks surprised. "Did you really?"
Yeah, that's his watch.
Oh, that's
Cody confirms that's his watch. Solomon reacts with mild excitement but seems hesitant. Before he can fully take in the item, Cody quickly takes it back,
Away the box. Oh, we're so lucky.
pointing out how fortunate it was that the plastic wrapping was still on, protecting the watch from damage. Christine, puzzled but playing along, comments,
I had no idea whose box that was. He just said
"That is so cute. I had no idea whose box that was. He just said he wanted to open it. Did he know that was his box?" Robyn replies,
He just had a feeling, I think.
"No, he just had a feeling, I think," while continuing to take photos of the moment. The scene raises several oddities. A watch was purchased and buried for a 1-year-old child, presumably with the intention that he'd rediscover it later in life. The choice of a valuable item like a watch, especially for a toddler who wouldn't have had any use for it at the time, seems impractical. Typically, time capsules are filled with mementos representative of the time, a toy, a note, or a keepsake, not expensive gifts. There is also visible confusion among the adults. Christine appears unaware that the watch was in the capsule, suggesting the gift may have been a private decision between Cody and Robyn. Robyn's vague explanation that Solomon just had a feeling adds to the awkwardness, as it implies he selected the correct box at random despite having no memory of its contents. The scene highlights a recurring pattern: disorganization, miscommunication, and a lack of shared decision-making. Rather than feeling like a family moment of reflection, it plays out as a moment of subtle tension and confusion, with unclear intentions and questionable choices surrounding a time capsule that was poorly planned from the start. Never trust the quiet one at the table. Watch what happens when the price sheet hits. At the wedding venue for Leon's celebration, the family gathers around to discuss details. Robyn sits in the background, silent and uninvolved, until the paper with pricing is introduced. Suddenly, she springs to life, standing and trailing the paper as it moves around the table, clearly determined to see it. The moment she gets a glimpse, her eyes immediately dart to Cody, anxiously watching his reaction to the cost. It's a consistent pattern. Robyn must always know the state of the family finances, despite making few visible contributions herself. This behavior echoes back to the venue shopping for Aspen's wedding. Aspen finds a location she loves.
Like this huge money thing. Like if money's a problem, I'll go with another place.
But Robyn begins trying to talk them out of it. Her reasoning? That several daughters still needed future weddings. In other words, the family budget should be preserved for her children even though none were close to marriage at the time. Others, apparently, could settle for less.
I need you to know that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get you in this place because...
What stood out in that moment was Meri, offering to cover the extra cost herself so Aspen could have her dream venue. It underscored a key contrast: Meri showing up as a parent to all of the children, while Robyn positioned herself as the gatekeeper of resources, selectively guarding them. The pattern continued in Flagstaff. During the process of trying to get approved for a house, Robyn became visibly frustrated with the complicated financial situation, largely due to Cody being tied to multiple wives' loans. She made a pointed remark. "The other wives need to get their own loans, without you on them. We're not doing this again." The irony being, those other wives were married to him long before she ever entered the picture. Still, that moment ended up benefiting Christine. With Cody off her home loan, her eventual departure was clean and uncomplicated.
Financially, with all the wives and interconnected, that anytime I'm involved in.
Robyn's attitude around finances remained consistent. When the lender wanted to review the other wives' financial situations, she acted visibly burdened, as if both the process and the people involved were inconveniences to her plans. Yet she was more than willing to accept down payment contributions from Meri and Janelle. Even when Janelle needed a truck to move her RV, a necessity given she had to relocate it every few weeks, Robyn rejected the idea. Cody mentioned helping her buy one, to which Robyn replied, "No, you don't," as though Janelle was supposed to teleport the RV to new locations without basic transportation. Across all these moments, a clear picture emerges. Robyn expresses deep concern for family finances, so long as those concerns prioritize her interests. Cody Brown didn't just fail Christine, he wanted to see her humiliated. And here's the scene that proves it.
Well, how do you feel about moving back? I don't want to move back. How come? I like where we are. I think it's better. Plus, we've already put a ton of money into Coyote Pass.
At the Coyote Pass meeting where Christine brings up the idea of moving back to Utah now that the laws have changed, something really stands out. Cody's behavior leading up to that moment is telling.
I gotta admit, I tried to be stoic with her, but I was like, yeah.
In the interviews beforehand, he looks positively thrilled. He gives Christine just enough false hope to think he might support the idea, only to turn around in his solo interview and gleefully predict how badly it's all going to go. He clearly can't wait to watch her crash and burn. It's not just indifference. It's delight. His excitement over the idea of someone else being humiliated is disturbing.
And what can we change if necessary to make it a win-win for all of us? Because I'm sold.
He sets her up, steps back and offers no support, no empathy, just a front row seat to the spectacle.
Are you excited to stay here with the kids alone for a while?
The disdain he feels for her is beginning to slip through, and it's hard to ignore. The real issue here isn't even about Utah. It's about being abandoned in a moment where partnership should matter. He left her out there to sink or swim on her own, knowing full well the outcome. That kind of betrayal doesn't come from nowhere. It's the result of a long pattern. It's part of a bigger dynamic.
When you have two sister wives that agree on anything, it's a fact. We all agree. You do.
Cody seemed to enjoy pitting the wives against each other. The more isolated they were, the more control he had. When the original 3 wives began stepping away from that dynamic and stopped turning on each other, the entire balance of power shifted. Suddenly, the grip he and Robyn had was slipping. Cody never thought any of them would actually leave. He had built a carefully crafted narrative of a functional family, one that just happened to bicker for entertainment value. It was a profitable illusion, and he assumed everyone would keep playing their parts.
About 4 weeks ago, I sat down with Christine and was like, okay, why?
He underestimated how deeply unhappy Christine had become. That miscalculation was his undoing. He settled into life with Robyn, showing up for camera time and making the occasional effort with Janelle and Christine. With Meri, he didn't even bother pretending anymore because he figured she wouldn't challenge him. He assumed no one would disrupt the image, but they did. One by one, they stopped playing along. And that changed everything. Escaping a cult doesn't make you a saint. And Christine's post-Cody glow-up has some serious blind spots.
I feel like a princess. I feel like this is a party.
Christine's behavior lately feels like a bit of a spectacle. While she's clearly enjoying her new life, it often comes across as excessive, almost like she's overcompensating.
Before I was even engaged, I immediately started looking at a wedding dress.
Preparing for her wedding with David has only amplified it. The excitement is understandable, but the delivery can be uncomfortable to watch. It seems as though she's finally experiencing a stage of life she missed. After growing up in a highly conservative environment and spending years in a restrictive, emotionally draining marriage, she never had the chance to go through the typical milestones many people do in their 20s.
Looking to our lives together is awesome.
Now she's catching up, just doing it with the enthusiasm of someone who's been holding their breath for decades. She's constantly upbeat, overly affectionate, and undeniably thrilled. And that's fine, to a point.
Christine eating David's face is, that's a monogamous thing.
But when enthusiasm crosses into public displays that visibly make her children uncomfortable, it becomes a concern. No one asked her to suppress her happiness.
Yeah, I've got the kiss cam on you. And
just maybe not reenact a rom-com makeout scene in front of the cheese board. There's also a deeper issue that's harder to ignore, a lack of accountability.
And I believed in plural marriage. I believed that Robyn was perfect for our family.
Christine left a deeply controlling religious system, but there's little acknowledgement of how long she remained complicit, even after her personal beliefs shifted. She continued raising her children in that system, tolerated blatant favoritism, and reportedly engaged in it herself when overwhelmed. These aren't minor details. They're part of a complex family history that deserves more honesty than she currently offers.
Hi, baby. Can I come in?
Her decision to quickly move David into a household with her teenage daughter, without what appears to be thorough consideration, is another red flag. It raises questions about her judgment, especially when paired with the disregard for her adult children's reasonable boundaries around physical affection. None of this is to suggest Christine is malicious or the villain of her family story, but she does seem emotionally immature in some critical ways. The charming, bubbly front masks a more complicated past that rarely gets examined, at least publicly. Her children clearly care for her, but even they have acknowledged the challenges of their upbringing. Christine deserves joy, no question, but true growth requires reflection, not just celebration. Hopefully, that part of the journey is happening somewhere beyond the spotlight.
Don't believe the timeline they fed you. The truth was hidden in plain sight. It's evident that Cody and Robyn had already been speaking with a realtor about selling both Coyote Pass and the McMansion well before Meri's on-camera breakup with them at Coyote Pass. Here's why. The picnic table painting took place in late summer. Everyone was dressed in shorts and t-shirts, clearly warm weather.
You believe we probably couldn't afford to just keep a property.
During that scene, Cody remarked, "So you believe we couldn't afford to keep the land?" Robyn responded, "We need to be able to afford what we need to afford." A vague and convenient answer. Interestingly, during the later picnic breakup scene with Meri, everyone is dressed for fall, and at least one of the picnic tables is already painted blue, indicating that the painting occurred beforehand. This suggests that conversations about moving on from the land were happening well before Meri was included. When Meri asked Cody directly about his plans for the property,
you don't answer right now because you're in a headspace that's not cool.
Robyn quickly interjected, claiming Cody wasn't in the right headspace to talk. The interruption made it clear she didn't want Meri involved in any discussions about the future of the land, possibly because plans for any profit had already been mentally allocated elsewhere. A more assertive response might have been warranted, perhaps along the lines of, "Robyn, I'm asking Cody a question. Please let him speak. You can share your thoughts afterward. Understood?" Another notable detail, Robyn's tendency to use "okay" at the end of statements, something that comes off as passive-aggressive finality. Over time, Cody began doing it as well, adopting her speech patterns and demeanor. The dynamic between them has shifted significantly, with Cody increasingly mirroring Robyn's behavior and tone. Some counterpoints suggest the timeline doesn't necessarily prove a long-term plan. The tables may have been repainted months or even a year after Meri's breakup conversation, which she indicated took place around 18 months earlier. The McMansion was officially listed in September, shortly after the late summer table painting, which would make a fall breakup scene plausible. Coyote Pass, notably, has never been listed for sale and is still owned jointly. Cody and Robyn were able to purchase a new home without selling it, funding their new house through a separate mortgage and down payment. This suggests they did not rely on profits from the land. Still, while a sale of Coyote Pass may not have been imminent, it's clear that discussions about moving on from it were already underway, just not shared openly with all parties. That's it for now. Thanks for sharing your time with me. I'm Elena. Until next time, take care. Ta-ta!